Today we're going to talk about rare earth minerals again. But before I do that, I'd like to say thank you for all the comments on trying to help me fix the TikTok. Unfortunately, none of them work. Um, I don't know what to do, so I'm back on the iPad today because if I can't show you the data, then I'm not going to do these things, okay? I have to be able to show you the data. This is so that you can make up your mind. Remember, the goal of this channel is to assist you in making the best decision for yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Now, when the Ukrainian-Russian war started, it came apparent, at least to me, that the global system that we had set up since 1945 was over. In this global system, everyone's interconnected to. And if the global system breaks, then we have to decide how we're going to judge what's going to happen and where to invest our money. So there's a difference between a trade and investing, and that's really where we're going to concentrate on the rare earth minerals today. So first, if the global system breaks down, the first thing we have to do is develop a system for understanding each individual country and how they're going to make their decisions going forward into a non-globalized system. Is it going to be regionalized? Is it going to be sub-regionalized? We just don't know. So we have 5 factors that we consider when we look at an individual country. Are you food sufficient? Are you energy sufficient? What's your technology? What's your demographics? And are you easy to attack? Security. When I say easy to attack, I mean easy to attack. If you're an island, you're hard to attack, unless you're Taiwan. And even then, Taiwan is incredibly hard. Some of the roughest water in the world goes through the Taiwan Strait. So when we look at these 5 factors, that tells us on a geopolitical level what countries may do to solve their issues that they're no longer in a globalized system. Now, let's put that aside. Now, let's say in this world that we built this globalized system, we have these systems that are totally globalized. And this is where I believe we have an investing opportunity. So I started with 4 systems that I felt were basically totally globalized. They were energy, food, technology, and what now has come known as UCI, underwater critical infrastructure. We called it connectivity when we first started this 3 years ago, but again, I found out that there actually is a name for it, underwater critical infrastructure. And now I'm adding a 5th one, as we're learning, as the global system breaks down, and that is rare earth minerals, all right? So the concept with these global systems is this. If we're breaking the global system, which I think is inarguable at this time, then we have to say, what would happen if one of these now 5 system break, okay? So if someone, let's take oil just for an example, okay? And it almost happened, okay? So Israel and Iran are fighting. Iran, let's say, was losing very badly. So Iran decides to send all their missiles and they blow up all the oil wells in the Middle East. Yes, the price of oil go up, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. If they did something like that, we are looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they could fix the problem. That's the issue. So when you think when something happens in the world, you make a trade off of it, and then we fix it right away, that's a trade. But if something happens and we cannot fix it for 3, 4, or 5 years, now that is an investment opportunity, okay? And when you look at technology, is technology system broken in the world? Totally, right? Totally. Countries are banned, companies are banned, doesn't matter, okay? So when we look at these, so when I look at food as a system, the people who work with me know I really look at fertilizer. In the modern farming world, fertilizer is king. So in our modern technology world, rare earth minerals are king, In our modern food world, fertilizer is king, okay? And by the way, 4 or 5 years ago, both China and Russia banned all exports of fertilizer, right? And so we get our potassium, or potash, excuse me, from Canada, like 85%, right? So we should piss them off too, all right? Now, how do you look at rare earth minerals? Well, obviously there's one dominant country. And I'll only point out here, 2010, you can see America back in the day, what were we, that back in 2000, we stopped producing. And then 2010 is when the Japanese and the Chinese went at it, and the Chinese cut off the Japanese, and boom, America said, oh, geez, maybe we should get back in the business, all right? So we started, but I'm going to point out, there's two things with rare earths. There's rare earth mining, okay? And this is reflective of mining, and then there's rare earth processing. So there's an announcement yesterday saying that the Quad, which is the US, Australia, India, and Japan, have formally launched a new critical minerals partnership, okay? And they just said, without ever mentioning China's name, but the context was unmistakable, reliance on one country for processing and refining critical minerals and derivative products production exposes our industry to economic coercion, price manipulation, and supply chain disruptions. And this is all very true. So Rubio has been spearheading this effort for the United States. And notice what he says here in the second thing. Not just access to the raw material, everybody has that, but also access to the ability to process and refine it into usable material, which nobody has, especially the United States, right? And you can look at the bottom paragraph. China now controls over 80% of rare earth refining and 70 to 80% of key battery inputs. And that dominance is set to increase by 2035 unless rival supply chains are scaled quickly. All right, so the second paragraph here is the critical one again. There's 62% of global rare earth production, mining, again, plenty of people out there can mine it, but 92% of the processing. That's the rub. And they sit here and they say, while there are a few other details on this new initiative, the four countries made it clear during the meeting that the one goal was to reduce their dependence upon Beijing. But, as they point out in the last part, Rubio touted the grouping as a very important partnership and urged more concrete actions on key issues. This could prove challenging because our three partners, Japan, Australia, and India, they're all deep in negotiations with us over the tariffs. And the fact is, Japan's actually just not talking to us anymore, all right? And Trump has been very, he's going to throw, I think it was 35 to 45% tariffs on Japan. So to me, I ask myself this question. So you got these four countries, so let's say Australia, we build the processing plant in. Well, how are we going to get that back here? And what if Australia gets mad at us? So what if we give it to Japan and then we do Japan and Japan says, forget you? I would say somehow, heck, it's got to be country specific, especially for us. Now these countries are moving ahead. Now this is India with their large miner, Vedanta. And guess what? They say they're going to work full out and try to get rare earth production within 5 years. Remember what I said, 5 years. And across the world, car industry in Japan, India, Europe, and America are closed down today because they don't have rare earth minerals. And by the way, almost everyone says that if we do get rare earth minerals, they're going to go to the defense because that's where we are at. We need them for defense. So I'm glad we're meeting with our partners and acting like they're partners. But at the same time, we are looking 5 to 7 years down the road before we can produce our own rare earth minerals. How do we handle it? What do you think we should do? Like and follow, tell me in the comments.